Hello everybody and welcome back to Night Brothers Commentary once again. Today we are basically going to be continuing our new US Constitution series, with this video being the start of the executive branch miniseries, if you will. And this video is really just going to be kind of like a bare bones summary of how I structure the executive branch in my system as opposed to what we currently have. So without further ado, let's begin. So essentially, I'm actually getting rid of the presidential system that we currently have in my system in favor of a president parliamentary version of a semi-presidential system. So essentially what that basically means is there's essentially two executive officers. I'm calling them the president and the chancellor, kind of like what you have in Germany at the moment, but the overall dynamic between the two officers is probably going to be more like the French semi-presidential system. Because essentially, the Germans technically have a more parliamentary system, where the president is more just kind of like a figurehead, like a ceremonial figurehead, if you will, and the president in France actually has a lot more power than their prime minister, if you will. But essentially, essentially what a president parliamentary system is basically where you basically have an elected president, and that's an elected president that's not necessarily responsible to the legislature, and another executive officer that's basically accountable to both the president and the legislature. So essentially, the president in my system will still be elected by the Electoral College, albeit with a lot of differences, and I'll get into that into the next episode. And the chancellor is basically going to be appointed by the president with the approval of the House of Representatives, like I kind of went into during the legislative miniseries. And again, I'll get into more detail once we kind of in the next episode. But essentially, overall, the president is basically going to be a head of state who specializes in the day-to-day governing / administration of foreign affairs and the military, whereas the chancellor basically specializes in the day-to-day governing / administration of domestic affairs within the U.S. Now, both executive officers are going to share some powers and duties with regards to national defense and joint powers. And essentially, basically what I mean by that is, for national defense at least, all programs with regards to law enforcement, energy production, construction, critical infrastructure assistance, homeland security, stockpiling for weapons, space-related issues, and any other directly related activity to all the previously mentioned ones, they basically count as national defense. Now, with regards to joint powers, they're basically just going to be all other programs that fall under the limited jurisdictions of both the president and the chancellor that essentially don't necessarily relate to any of those activities that I mentioned above. So essentially, basically what I kind of envisioned for this version of a semi-presidential system, if you will, is essentially basically just kind of like, I guess in a way, trying to I'm trying to think of the best word. I'm thinking of the best phrase here. I want to say it's basically trying to limit the ever-increasing authority that the president in our current system is kind of gaining. Like, essentially, the way I see it, the president has basically accumulated more and more power as time has gone on throughout our current system. And basically, this is a way I wanted to establish a semi-presidential system in my version of the Constitution as a way of basically limiting executive authority, if you will. That's kind of a roundabout way of getting it, but essentially, I don't know. I guess I've always, I know I'm not the only one with regards to this, but I do feel like the president, regardless of political party, has basically has basically just kind of been getting more and more power. And I feel like having a semi-presidential system to basically kind of counteract that, to basically kind of like, I guess to basically just, to, to basically just kind of keep the executive branch in check, if you will. I feel like having a semi-presidential system is basically going to be better than what we have now. I guess like I said, it's really just a roundabout way of just of getting around that. So essentially, the next episode is basically going to be me just kind of going over the election / appointment requirements for the president and the chancellor, as well as the deputy executive officers. So essentially, overall, that's basically going to be it for this episode. These episodes, I do feel kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but, uh, these episodes really do take a lot of time and energy just to kind of basically, just to make and to edit, and that's not even in addition to all the notes that I do for all you guys. So, please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment down below too. Let me know your thoughts. Please go to the website that I have and read the notes. Doing all the regular YouTube things as well as kind of like everything else, it really does kind of help this YouTube channel out. So, until next time, Night Brothers Commentary, signing out.